Hey there, I'm Lee Ullman here with some big news from the National Young Farmers Coalition. We're partnering with Heritage Radio Network on a special season of The Farm Report. It's all about what's happening with the Farm Bill and how it impacts farmers and eaters.
I am growing diversified vegetables on land that's been in our family for 150 years.
And so with the pandemic, gentrification, property values going up, we had to sell the land and we lost it.
Join us as we uncover the untold stories behind this massive piece of legislation that shapes how we grow our food, what we eat, and so much more.
The problems we have had, those are things that come from earlier Farm Bill and USDA policy, right? Like Earl Butz, get big or get out.
You know, it's my responsibility to know not only what I'm eating, but then like how that all came to be. And realize like, wow, like this piece of legislation, all this money, like it's technically something that I support as a taxpayer.
While Congress debates the next Farm Bill, this is not just an invitation to listen. It's a call to action. Be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Farm Report on Heritage Radio Network, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hearst Ranch is a proud sponsor of the Heritage Radio Network. Learn more about Hearst Ranch at HearstRanch.com.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network. We're a member-supported podcast network broadcasting over 35 weekly shows live from Bushwick, Brooklyn. This year, we're celebrating 10 years of food radio. For the past decade, we've been taking you behind the scenes of farms, restaurants, breweries, school cafeterias, and more. It's been 10 years, and we're just getting started. Find us at heritageradionetwork.org.
We talk about food, we talk about music, with musical dudes. Finger on the pulse, snacky tunes. Today the rain came down and the fair came to town. Oh, lovely Saturday. Monday a hearse drove by, stuck on the 405. A lonely Monday drive. There's so much they don't tell you, they couldn't teach if they tried. What's between and before us, the mystery lies. Tuesday I went to work, Wednesday I changed my name, Thursday I regretted it, Friday I was crucified, Saturday born again. Oh, lovely Saturday. There's so much they don't tell you, they couldn't teach if they tried. What's between and before us, the mystery lies. The mystery lies in mystic eyes, in mystic eyes.
Hello and welcome to Snacky Tunes. I'm one half your host, Greg Bresnitz, sitting very closely across from Doug Adams. Welcome to Snacky Tunes.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, welcome to New York.
Yeah.
Most people wouldn't leave a Northwest summer for a New York summer.
I just took a honeymoon in Montana, and this is like a million worlds away.
Better or worse?
Different.
You know, Montana's so interesting. They make it really hard to get there. Like, you can't just do like a 3-day in Montana.
Sure you can.
Not from here. They're just, it's like just enough flights are like, okay, we got it. Message received. Either 10 days or no days.
Maybe they're trying to keep it how it is.
Keep it big sky.
Yeah.
You were born in Texas. Born in Colorado, grew up in Texas.
Perfect.
What age did you make it to? Did Colorado leave any imprint, or was it all
Not
Texas?
At all Texas.
Just where you came out.
Yeah.
Okay. What was it like growing up in Texas, and whereabouts?
I grew up in Northeast Texas, so northeast of Dallas. Really more. They call it the Pine Curtain to the south. It's more Old South than Texas. The feeling of it. When you're there, it doesn't feel like Austin or even really Dallas or Fort Worth. It kind of feels like you're in Mississippi.
What is the Pine Curtain reference?
It's a huge pine forest on the east side of Texas, like almost swampland.
Interesting. So, growing up there, was there every place in the South has like a regional cuisine? Was there a specific dish or a specific type of cuisine growing up there that was only for the Pine Curtain?
Pork ribs.
Any specific type of breed or just pork ribs in general? Give me like the ideal dish.
I mean, ideal. So there's barbecue restaurants in very far east Texas that only do pork ribs. So you just go in and that's all they serve.
Heaven. That's all. I mean,
it is.
You don't even have to pretend like you're going to order something else. Like you go in like, maybe I want the brisket.
And then you either get wet or dry.
What do you get?
I prefer dry.
Why?
Oh, it's so good. I think the rib is just, in my opinion, it's the best cut of any animal.
Agreed.
We serve beef ribs at Bullard, not to jump ahead, but pork ribs are just my all-time go-to. And I think it's one of the hardest things to get right. Oftentimes it's over-smoked. The meat shouldn't fall off the bone. It should have some like pull. But I really think that dry is like the best way to enjoy it.
How old were you when you realized that not all pork ribs were created equal? Or were you just a kid, you were just like, you're like, a rib's a rib?
Oh man, I think that, well, I was lucky enough to go to great spots. So I think I grew up eating, but barbecue's barbecue, man. I'll take crappy barbecue over a lot of good other stuff.
Where did you grow up going?
Bodacious Barbecue. It's a spot outside of Longview. There's peanut shells all over the ground. You sit down, all you get is pork ribs, and then you eat peanuts while you wait.
No sides?
I don't remember eating sides. All I remember is eating ribs.
That's amazing. It really also like takes the responsibility off of you, because I feel when I go to barbecue, you're like, well, maybe I'll get like 2 ribs, and you always want like all the ribs, but you're like, oh, I gotta try things now. So like just ribs, no sides, no filler.
And I'll tell you now when I go to barbecue restaurants, I really look at the sides much more closely. Because you go to Austin, right, and you hit spot after spot after spot, and you try like 8 different briskets, and they're all good. And your memory, you're like, I don't really remember what, like the subtle difference between. But sometimes you can, but I think that sides that's kind of where I'm at right now.
What do you look for, and what makes a good side?
Well, there's 2. Either you're going to go rich with the barbecue or cut through. So I'm always looking for Texas caviar, which is a black-eyed pea salad, which I think always like cuts through like tons of celery. And then I'm always looking for great mac and cheese.
I always love a French fry or a baked bean. Yeah,
beans are key.
Just like the starch, just to kind of like balance everything out.
You can tell a lot about a barbecue restaurant by how they use their trim and ends in like a bean dish or a Texas red.
Like, how great do you feel when you get like a piece of meat in your baked beans?
Oh,
like,
it's the best.
It's like the best.
Big like random chunk.
It's amazing. So you left Texas, went to Oregon. What drew you to the north?
I went to Montana actually. I went to college.
Back to Montana.
I went to college in Missoula.
Okay.
That was a Grizz.
Were you cooking there?
I was. I've cooked my whole life. It's the only job I've ever had has been in a kitchen.
Really?
Really.
Like no like wayward into like MBA, finance, legal, just
just straight restaurants.
What was the first kitchen job and where?
It was Spring Creek Barbecue in Tyler, Texas.
Paid in ribs.
I was let go.
Why?
I was a shitty kid.
Okay. Official dismissal, shitty kid.
Yeah.
Rite of passage.
And I remember actually I was let go and I walked out and I was like, I'm never going to work in a fucking restaurant again. It's karma and fate.
Then just flash forward.
Gathered around me.
They're like, okay, kid. So Missoula.
I went to college in Missoula for journalism actually, and hated it. Super horrible at school. I was super horrible in high school. I would have dropped out, but my parents wouldn't let me. I dropped out of culinary school even. Hated it. But I went to school of journalism in Montana, which is a great school, and I was just caught up in getting out of Texas and that freedom. Like East Texas is dry county. More churches and gas stations, and I went to Montana and was like, freedom. Never went to class, fly fished, played bluegrass, drank.
What's your favorite bluegrass song?
My favorite bluegrass song? Probably, classic 9 Pound Hammer.
Fine.
Tony Rice.
Do you still play? Do you still have time to play?
I try to. I've been picking it up more and more. My wife has been encouraging me to learn. I'm learning how to have a little bit of balance in my life recently.
So what culinary jobs did you have through quote-unquote college that you didn't go to?
I worked at a restaurant in Missoula, Montana called the Old Post, and I was a brunch cook. And I still to this day tell all my cooks, I think, if you really want to get serious about cooking, I think brunch is by far one of the best services to start at because it's speed and egg cookery. And egg cookery, if you can cook a perfect egg every time, you can cook anything.
How many eggs would you go through in a brunch? Thousands?
Oh, yeah. We used to feed the entire Grizzly football team.
Oh, my God.
Sit down. It was...
To order or just omelets or scrambled?
It was like the college town brunch spot.
Oh,
and we would just get murdered. And I was drinking Jägermeister the entire time. I remember when my kitchen manager told me that I should season my French fries. And I remember looking at him and being like, why? And he was like, don't you like salt on your fries? And I was like, we can't be adding like steps to this, man.
Yeah,
we're super. And it was one of the first times that somebody tried to like make me a better cook.
Just a little bit better. Just salt on your fries. Just carry that with you.
In my mind, I was like, we can't add like steps, man. We're busy.
They have salt at the table.
But I'll never forget it. And I remember him like making some fries for me, and he's like, aren't they better? And I was like, oh fuck yeah, they are. Yeah. Way better.
You're like, hey guys, salt on those fries.
Shh. That's the way to go.
Don't tell anyone. So then from Montana you went to Oregon. And what took you to the Northwest? Obviously I know why you didn't return home, but why there?
Well, to be honest, I got a couple DUIs. I crashed a car, and I was scared that I was going to go to jail for a couple weeks, and I packed all my bags and I left Montana. And I went to Oregon. I totally ran away.
Warrant still out for your arrest?
I took care of that. Actually, when they told me I was going to be on Top Chef, I got the phone call and they're like, all right, you're on, pack your bags. Hung up the phone immediately rang. And it's like, hi, this is NBC Universal legal team. You have 6 bench warrants out for your arrest in Montana. You can't do Top Chef. So I flew to Montana. My boss at the time, Vitaly, thank you, Vito, loaned me some money and I took care of it in 2 days. And then I went on the show.
6?
Yeah.
Compounded or 6 separate instances?
Yeah, I can't even remember.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But I was definitely a troubled, lost kind of individual. And I went to Portland like totally a dirtbag, and I was so lucky to get involved with like some good people, Greg Denton being one of them, the chef owner of Vox. And immediately when I got into a serious kitchen, like everything started like clicking. And it was like, whoa, I needed structure. But I didn't know what kind of structure, but when I found it, like everything in my life kind of started to fall into place.
What did that structure look like? And I'm not talking like salt those fries. Like what did the instruction or like how did it feel different than a brunch service?
It was really just me kind of like falling in love with the like why. You get a lot of do this, and then all of a sudden I was truly cooking and understanding why. And then having the opportunity to get in a serious kitchen where you're really making people happy, like I became more in tune with that, and then everything just kind of like opened up. But, you know, my dad always told me that he wanted to send me to military school because he's like, you need it. But I was like, oh, I'm so little. It won't be good. It won't be good. But now I understand in a way, like I kind of went to military school because I went to like some pretty intense kitchens, and I flourished in that environment, that like total structure and do it this way. And there's a peace that comes with that. That's why a lot of people like fall in love with the kitchen, is that you're stepping with everyone else and you're doing things and everything kind of like lines up and you're understanding why. It's not just being told to do something. I was like lucky enough to have teachers to open that up for me, and then everything kind of like made sense.
How long did it take for it to make sense?
I think I was really lucky with some great people, and not that long. And then I was just like hooked, right? It's the most adrenaline. You know, I played bluegrass and I love like getting on stage and that like adrenaline rush. And then a true proper like dinner service in a great restaurant, it was like, whoa. I'm sure my pupils just like dilated.
Right. More than 1,000 egg brunch.
Yeah.
Just because of the skill level and
you have some feedback, right? You're not just doing it on your own. You're being told, okay, this is wrong, do it like this and fix it, and you get to see those results in real time. And to understand that, I mean, there's such a amazing feeling.
You have a number of accolades, which is kind of well-known territory, but we'll just go through. Top Chef Boston 2014, Best Restaurant Willamette Weekly 2015, 2015 Chef of the Year Portland, James Beard Rising Chef, incredible. So you got to Portland 2008, those accolades came kind of back to back to back. When did you feel that you were on a different level, or that you had become the beginning of the chef that you are today?
Oh, I still don't feel. I feel like I got so long ago. I mean, I think that it's good to enjoy those things and listen to them, but I got some great advice from a chef who's like, it's never as good as you think it is, but it's never as bad as you're scared it is. And I think like you get those things and you hear, but it should just, I mean, I'm only 7 months into owning my spot. I'm like still a baby, right? I got so much to learn.
We're going to take a quick musical break, play a song from our archives, and we'll be back here on Heritage Radio Network.
Why did I choose her?
Hearst Ranch is a proud sponsor of the Heritage Radio Network. The Hearst family has been raising cattle on the rich, sustainable native grasslands of California's Central Coast for over 150 years. Piedra Blanca Rancho in San Simeon is the original Hearst Ranch, founded by George Hearst in 1865. George's son was the famous publisher William Randolph Hearst. In addition to being known for building the iconic Hearst Castle, William was, like his father before him, an avid rancher. In his words, "I would rather spend a month at the ranch than any place in the world." Thanks to one of the largest land conservation easements in California history, a joint effort with the California Rangeland Trust, the American Land Conservancy, and the state of California, the working landscape at Hearst Ranch will be preserved forever. Learn more about Hearst Ranch at HearstRanch.com.
You're still a newborn, 7 months, new spot. Set the scene for us. It's a Woodlark Hotel. You've got 3 different spots.
Yep. I knew that I wanted to open up a restaurant, and I started putting the feelers out. And again, I think that I've been probably more lucky than most in my career, but I started hearing about a possible project in this old hotel. I went to a couple meetings, and the gal who was kind of trying to find a chef for it was a gal named Jennifer Quist, who then became my business partner. And it went from like this small idea to a hospitality group.
Holler Hospitality.
Holler Hospitality.
I mean, only a Texas boy.
Yeah. It's actually named after a bar in Milwaukee.
I'm going to stand by what I said.
Okay. So, you know, and I my number one advice to anybody looking to open a restaurant is like surround yourself with people who think like you, but also complement your weaknesses. I think that that's so you can't do it alone. You can't. One dish isn't going to make it for you. Maybe, though, you know, sometimes shit happens. I don't know.
How many people pitched you on a fried chicken restaurant?
A few.
They're like, this will work. You're like, what happens after everyone's had it a few times?
And what happens every year when someone else does, you know, new kids come up. And in a city like Portland, there's a new restaurant. There's a new hot restaurant every 2 weeks. So I met Jennifer, and it really became clear that like, oh my God, I got so much. This is a big project. So then everything just kind of started. The project was delayed because it's super old buildings, which is what I wanted, you know. So as that was delayed, we started doing consulting work together around the country. So we went to Nashville and we consulted on a project, went to Green Bay, went to Milwaukee, went to Seattle. And I got some great experience in opening. They can be so fast and furious. So we got to consult on a few different openings, and we learned a ton. I learned a ton. And then from there, we came back to Portland, and we really had a good idea of how we wanted the entire first floor of this hotel to look. And more importantly, we knew that we wanted to control it all so we could have all these different options of moving things around.
And explain how the 3 parts work together.
Totally. So Bullard is the main dining room restaurant. We're open for lunch and dinner. Abigail Hall is our bar, open happy hour dinner. And then we have Good Coffee, which is our partners. They're 2 amazing brothers from Sisters, Oregon. And we do kolaches and pastries in the lobby.
Can you explain what a kolache is?
Sure. Kolache is a Czech pastry. It's kind of funny. The history books would have you believe that, you know, the cowboys in Texas were John Wayne, but there are really a lot of German immigrants.
Fredericksburg, Texas is chock full of Germans.
Oh my God.
It's amazing.
New Braunfels,
yeah.
Austin. When you look at the beer that they drink in Texas, it's German lagers. It's Box. It's, and it just so happens that those like light malty beers go so well with barbecue, right? So yeah, kolache, it as it came to Texas, they were traditionally like a fruit or cheese filled, you know, nice sweet soft dough square with a filling in the middle. Texas, they kind of switched to now like the number one, if you're in Austin, Texas and you ask about a kolache, it's a jalapeno cheddar sausage. So that's what we do.
You have a Tex-Oregan cuisine, which might possibly be one of the first of its kind. What did you take from Texas and run through the Oregon filter?
I think we really took the smoker, and it was really important to me. I love smoking meats. It's my favorite way to cook, like low and slow. It just like kind of one pot too. That to me just makes my kind of like heart feel great. But I didn't want to let one piece of equipment like define the whole restaurant. because we're downtown. And I think a downtown restaurant should hit several marks, which is more than just a plate of smoked meat. But I really wanted that piece of equipment to play with because it's so fun, and I really, really enjoy eating it. So, I mean, the beef rib is like that's like about as Texas as we get in the restaurant. But I think about cooking in Oregon, where cooking in anywhere is about what you have available. So the fish, the vegetables, the fruits. I mean, the farmer's market in Portland is on, and right now it is popping. So we also have a wood-fired hearth. So anything that comes to the restaurant, we try and grill or smoke first. I think a perfect example is, instead of, you learn your entire culinary career, it's like garlic, onions, olive oil, slows. So we smoke everything in the skin. We smoke onions for 6 hours in the skin, and then we cook with it. And you're just starting with a more complex, sweet start to any saute you're doing. The garlic, we'll smoke it for so long till it gets almost black, and it's sweet and has this depth. And then we just go ahead and cook like we've been trained to cook in Oregon, but we just add steps.
I went to school at University of Oregon
Did you?
in early 2000, and they were so pre-farm to table, just because they would just list out in 2000s restaurants all the farms they would go. That when farm to table happened, I didn't know, because I was in Oregon, and that's how you do it. But the produce in the Willamette Valley it's unreal. It's unreal.
And then you have like mushrooms, we have truffles, we have, right now we're grilling porcinis. We just did a porcini fajita dish. To the horror of my business partner, I went and found like on the border fajita sizzle platters, and I brought them in, and we grill porcinis, and then we do like a creamy walnut salsa, and I think that's like about as Texas Oregon as you can get.
I mean, do the Texas people recognize the roots?
Oh, heck yeah.
And are they into it, or they think it's bastardized? Are they a little too proud, or are they proud of the adaptation?
I think Texas people are going to be happy to see a Texas flag anywhere in the world.
Yeah, but your flag is not a Texas flag.
No.
You made... Tell the people about
that's the most Texan thing ever.
Please describe the flag that is in your restaurant.
So we hung up a flag. It's the Oregon seal. Has like Mount Hood in the background, and it has the Oregon Trail cart, and we replaced it with Texas Longhorns pulling it, and then it's on like your typical Texas flag there. When the mayor came in to do the ribbon cutting, and he like looked at the flag and he was like, only a Texan would cut up the Oregon flag, and I was like, yes sir, just trying to make it better, man.
Have you sold any yet?
No.
Merch ideas.
Yeah.
One year.
As soon as I make t-shirts, it's all over it.
Your wife is part of the project as well.
Yes, she brewed a beer for us.
Talk about your wife, her background, and how you came to the flavor profile of the beer.
Totally. Whitney Burnside Adams is a brewer. She's a brewmaster at 10 Barrel, the only female brewmaster in the Pacific Northwest.
Really?
And she's lovely.
Yes. And pregnant.
And pregnant with a little girl.
Amazing. Same. My wife is 3 now.
Congrats.
Yes.
It's a wild ride.
Yes.
I'm still waiting for the handbook in the mail.
I'll send you mine.
Yeah. But when beer is like so important to me, and we have this amazing, we have an amazing wine program, but I think that in Portland, beer is so important, but in restaurants in Portland, it becomes an afterthought, and you see the same IPAs, you see the same. So we really wanted to dive a little bit deeper.
Even with like the craft beer, I remember drinking so many craft beers that would like come and go when I was in college. You still just see the same ones over and over again on tap.
You see the big boys over and over, and it's tricky to pair, because we love big IPAs in Portland, and it's a really hard thing to pair with food. So of recently, a lot of brewers have been brewing more like old school, like light lagers, which is really exciting. But when you go to Texas, like Shiner Bock, it's like the beer, right? And it's not super light. It's not a Pilsner. It doesn't have that bitter quality with a ton of hops. And we wanted kind of a sweet but light Bock, and Whitney brewed us the Buller Bock. It's fun. We opened up with a signature beer day one.
How many iterations did it have to go through till she nailed it?
She nailed it on 2.
Really? And how far was 1 from 2?
I couldn't even tell the difference.
Right. It's like your brisket tasting.
Oh, I tried it and was like, oh my God, this is the best beer ever.
You nailed it. She's like, no.
And totally. And just how, I am with food. You like try it and you're like, no, it needs more work. But,
and everyone's like, this is incredible chef. What are you doing?
But the wine, we're having so much fun pairing wines with like smoked meats. It's something new, and our wine guys like having the best time, from sweet Rieslings, like a sweet, amazing ice cold Riesling with like smoked barbecue. It's crazy. So we're having, and some Pinot Noirs are so great. We're just trying to hit, I think a downtown restaurant and a downtown bar should like check a lot of boxes, and that's what you sign up for.
But still has to stay within its creative world.
Totally.
It can't just be like, we're doing this for the sake of
Because
doing
then it's
this.
just muddled and you get this kind of blah.
So what is like, I always like to think about if I'm alone with a good book, maybe a sci-fi novel, that I go to the bar and I sit down and have one dish and one glass of wine. What am I having there that's like, I'm going to think about this for a year?
The only stipulation would be is how hungry are you?
I mean, could eat anything.
Okay, you're probably going to get a beef rib at Bullard with fresh flour tortillas and guacamole and bread and butter jalapenos. And then what I love about it is like it opens just, you could have a rad margarita, you could have a glass of wine, or you could have a beer.
Great. And what type of wine would I have with it?
I would say I would go like a white, a crisp, refreshing white.
And then just go up to the hotel, take a nap.
Yep. Come back for some ice cream.
Come back for some ice cream. One of the things I read about you is you talked about like the imposter syndrome, kind of like based on brisket. You're taking Texas traditions and you're making things in Oregon, and you're going up against ideals that have been perfected over not just decades but generations. How do you wrestle with that? Because it's something that I think chefs don't necessarily always share, that they're feeling like, oh, it could be better, or as you mentioned, one moderation, a little bit of this.
Totally.
How do you, and then also with the very real timeline, is that like at some point you just got to kick the food out the door?
Totally. And I think transparency is one of the best new things in our industry. And I love it. And I think that it makes your staff trust you more. It makes you know yourself better when you're like, we don't really touch brisket very much at Bullard, and there's so much respect. I touch it at my house, but we're not a barbecue restaurant, so we smoke beef ribs. It's a super, very beautiful marbled short rib cut, not like the chuck rib that you get at most barbecue restaurants in like Houston or Austin. But I think transparency is just great, and sometimes you have to say like, Bullard will never be a restaurant where you just go and get a bunch of sliced brisket and some white bread. And that's totally fine. And I respect the hell out of people that, I might do a crudo too. That doesn't mean I'm like doing sushi.
Can you clarify what you mean by transparency?
I think Top Chef really did show me in a lot of ways that winning isn't everything, because you can't win everything. And your failures will define you just as much as your successes. And that's not a bad thing. And you can't be scared of it. And there's nothing wrong with saying we're not going to mess with brisket because we don't have necessarily the time or the systems or the makeup to get it right. And the one thing that I'll take away from Top Chef is, like the foie gras with Jacques Pepin was like the worst day of my life, right? And I literally thought when I was done that it was going to define my career and that I was going to be like the laughingstock of Portland. And the best thing to remember about the industry is nobody really gives a shit.
If they watched it.
They don't give it 9 times out of 10. They don't care what you did in the past. They're probably not. It's all about like in the moment. It's about you. It's your growth. And I think you'll have better employees and you'll have better cooks. I always want my cooks to own up to their mistakes. And you can walk away from that Jacques Pepin experience and be like, well, I was set up, I fucked up. I didn't have enough time. I spun out of control. I lost control of my emotions and I want my cooks to do the same thing to me and be like, we can fix this together, but don't give me shit and cover it up. Like, own up to it. And if you learn from it, then it's not a mistake.
Do you think chefs you're saying this now from a chef who's got his own restaurants, but do you think chefs can be transparent in that way, even at the beginnings or early stages of their career?
I think that, I would hope so. I think that it's tough, right? Because you want to impress, but I'll always hire a stage who doesn't lie or cover up. I think it's like, own up to it, because if you overcook the burger, we're going to cook another one. I'm not going to fire you. I'm going to fire you for lying. I'm going to fire you for stealing. But let's figure out how we screwed up and talk through it, and then we'll create systems to make sure that it doesn't happen, and that's how we get better. That's how you get a stellar restaurant, in my opinion.
Chef, I want to thank you for coming on Snacky Tunes. Where can people find you, make reservations? make their way to you?
BullardPDX.com, Woodlark Hotel, Abigail Hall. Come and see us. We're always open.
Last question. All-time favorite on-the-spot bluegrass player?
Tony Rice. Guitar.
Yes. We're going to play another song from the archive, and then we'll be back with the second part of Snacky Tunes here on Heritage Radio Network.
Regular guy, regular size, regular drink, regular fries, regular pesticide, regular car, regular house, regular doubts, regular Channel 5. That's just a regular life. Hey, hey, it isn't so bad. We all want to be someone. On time, number one. But I'll take what I get, and I'll make the most of it, 'cause I know I'm not just someone. A regular girl, regular curl, regular video games and squirrels, regular cinnamon swirl, regular job, a regular tan, a regular man, a regular diamonds and pearls. That's just a regular world. Hey, hey, it isn't so bad. We all want to be someone. Oh, 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 oh. On time, number one. Oh, 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 oh. But I'll take what I get, and I'll make the most of it. 'Cause I know I'm not just someone. We all want to be someone. On time, number one. But I'll take what I get, and I'll make the most of it. 'Cause I know, oh yeah, we all want to be someone.
Are you enjoying this podcast? Heritage Radio Network has plenty more. My name is Linda Liu, and I'm the host of Feast Meets West, the show that celebrates Asian culture through the lens of food here on HRN. Listen to episodes like The Evolution of Chinatown with Numwa Tea Parlor's Wilson Tang and New York Times' Elaine Chen. Catch our ongoing series, Women in Asian Food, and spotlight episodes with our heroes like Anita Lowe. You can find Feast Meets West wherever you listen to podcasts and on heritageradionetwork.org.
Hello and welcome back to Snacky Tunes. We are at the legendary Danger Bird Record Studios in gorgeous Silver Lake. It's always gorgeous because we're in California, and we have one of California's born and bred, Matt Costa. Welcome to Snacky Tunes.
Thanks for having me.
Raised here, lived here, never leaving?
I've left. I've moved to other places, but I was born actually right down the street at what's the Dream Center there off the 101 in Rampart.
Were you born in the Dream Center?
I was born in the Dream Center, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Was your family part of the Dream Center?
No, at the time it was a hospital, like a normal hospital. I don't know what the Dream Center is now, but at the time it was it was called like Mary Queen of the Angels Hospital.
For those who don't know what the Dream Center is, it is a nebulous sort of place where groups of men in black T-shirts will walk around and clean up Silver Lake.
Okay,
but I don't know what else they do.
Yeah,
I don't know. So born and bred LA. Do you find that like being from LA, living in LA, has influenced your entire music career, writing approach to being an artist?
Well, I mean, I grew up in Orange County, so Huntington Beach and that area. So, just outside of it. And, but yeah, I think just living in California in general, especially on this record, it's been, with geographically and those things it's come out. And I grew up skateboarding and stuff too. And so just being here in one of the meccas for skateboarding, that influenced my music a lot too, just the music and videos and stuff.
What about the videos? What about the visual artistic of skateboarding videos? Because would you like, 90s skateboarding videos?
Yeah.
So, and what do you bring to that and that aesthetic? Because that's a very, OC skate videos are a very niche type of approach to making art.
Yeah, I mean, because of that, it was there was a lot though. There was a lot of the kind of, I would watch girl skate videos and stuff like that, where they're SF and also in LA here and all the World Industries and Blind videos and stuff like that, where they would skate LA a lot. And also the music in those was really cool. I got turned on to that was the first time. I remember you'd hear stuff on the radio and things like that, but especially in my parents' car or something. But then I listened to, there was Van Morrison's song Caravan in FTC video, and I thought all of a sudden Van Morrison was cool,
Right. It's I felt like that those 90s skate videos were such a great postmodern approach to making art, because you would have these amazing songs, but when these young kids just ripping. Yeah. And sometimes it would just create this whole new type of piece to enjoy.
Yeah, totally.
And just show it, I guess, as an artist, would show that sort of you could bring in all influences to what you wanted to create without having to feel that you had to leave stuff off the table because it wasn't cool or not cool.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it just was. There was all. Obviously, there's all sorts of stuff. There was, obviously, there was Misfits and Danzig and stuff like that. And stuff too.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
I mean, which I like. I listened to that as well. But then there was a lot of hip hop and soul, and then there was a lot of the classic stuff, and it didn't really matter. When it was in there, and then it was associated with the visual, then it was all. Then I was hooked.
So you started getting it. When did you first start writing music? I know you've been doing professionally off and on for about, not off and on, but on for about 15 years. But when did you start to dabble? Younger, when you were skateboarding, or when you were a little bit older?
Yeah, no, I just played music then. And I didn't really play that often. I just played guitar and a little bit and trumpet and stuff like that in school band. But when I was 19 or so is when I started trying to write, just really digging into songs more, studying whatever, just learning whole songs and thinking about lyrics and those kind of things.
Was there a shift? Is there always, do you remember a moment when you went, I'm going to go after this as something I want to do with my life, or was it just a natural progression?
Yeah, it was just a natural progression for me. I mean, I broke my leg skateboarding really bad, and a lot of my friends at the time, were all getting sponsored, and, they were all some of them were already going pro and things like that. And then that's what I wanted to do, but then I broke my leg, and I thought I'd be back in 3 months or something and keep going, but then it ended up being about a year and 2 years. And then by the end of that, I really had to train myself to walk again. And so riding a skateboard, going down big handrails and stuff like that, and doing the things that I wanted to do seemed really out of the question, at least for the time being. And during those 2 years and 3 years of basically recovery, it's still, even now, it's not fully back. I guess I could have done better physical therapy and things. But that's when I started writing songs, and then within 4 years, and I kind of started doing shows and had some people who were I just had released some things, and people were excited about it, friends of mine, and then I just kind of kept going with that. But it never was I want to do this for a career. It was more just sort of I like music, and I just want to try it out.
I mean, seeing how you've had a pretty good run as a musician.
Yeah.
Do you find that moment where your life sort of diverged with that accident as something that you look back on like this, I'm happy this happened now? Or do you see it as something where you're like, you found a way to channel like what happened to you into something that making what your life is today?
Yeah, I think all that stuff, the development when I was a kid, just skateboarding is just like, just shifted into songwriting. Same sort of discipline and same sort of...
It's a lot of discipline, like getting up, doing that trick over and over and over again. So applying that to music is a great way. Like, I want to get this chord, I want to hit this timing, right?
Totally, yeah. And I think also too, but there's things that I did want to like, that I did want to do different. Because I remember that when I was young, it was all just like muscling things and going.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I started writing music, then I realized that, you know, you can sit and learn, you know, and I still do. You'll learn scales, and you got to learn all the kind of fundamentals of it.
Sure.
But I realized that, you know, not muscling. You can't, you know, you can muscle a guitar part or a song or something like that, but
Right.
you have to like, it gets more, you know, introspective, and you have to be more thoughtful with it, and that's when the best stuff comes out. So when skateboarding, I did that. I saw some people who put that approach in skateboarding, and they were always better, you know. And then it took me to like stepping away from it to see that, and then I started applying that to I've always tried to apply that to my music because I just know that it makes, at least I think it makes for better art.
Well, speaking of better art, let's hear a song.
All right, I'll try to play a good one here.
Oh, you're gonna play a great one. What do you got for us?
Let's see here. This one is a song called Pacific Grove, and I found this drum machine here, so I figured I'd use it.
Awesome.
I know you've been away for a long time. Feels like 10 years or more. Got me to thinking I shouldn't have said all those things I regret even more now. I'm feeling sentimental. Times I'm living for the past. Hold your face before my eyes, but it never seems to last. So let's go back to Pacific Grove when those monarchs come back home. I know I won't make it alone. We'll love and laugh in a tavern when that evening sun goes down, and meet halfway in Pacific Grove. At times my mind did wander like a bird from limb to limb. Wake up early, but who am I fooling? There's no one next to me. And there on the misty street is that neon light we know. Often I've longed for your silhouette glowing inside that window. So let's go back to Pacific Grove when those monarchs come back home. I know I won't make it alone. We'll love and laugh in a tavern when that evening sun goes down, and meet halfway in Pacific Grove. Pacific Grove. Pacific Grove. Loving someone new, if that fountain's overflowing, I'll get the feeling that I'm on the banks, watering out the river stone. I know you've been away for a long time. It feels like 10 years or more. It got me to thinking I shouldn't have said all those things I regret even more now. So let's go back to Pacific Grove when those monarchs evening sun goes down and meet halfway in Pacific Grove. We'll meet halfway in Pacific Grove. Pacific Grove.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Sweet. That's a great one.
Thanks, man.
Better than a good one.
All right, cool. I'll take
so
that.
After you started playing for a few years and you started putting stuff out, when did you feel both like that your career had started and then you were also starting to hit the stride of the music that you wanted to make? Instead of muscling through, that you were like finessing and like curating the songs you were writing.
Yeah. Well, I kind of always thought about, I tried to write songs that I would have to grow into or something. I mean, I'd write ideas in order to push myself to like become them, in that sort of sense.
I like that.
And then
like you got to man up to the songs you wrote.
A little bit, yeah. And then a lot, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you're not ready for it. You have to put them away and then you come back to them. But
can you give me an example?
Well, let's think about that. Yeah. Well, on my first record, let's see here. On my first record, there was some finger picking songs, and there was also some electric guitar stuff, and I felt, those took a while to write and create. It was like about a 2 or 3 year sort of process.
Gotcha.
So during that time, I had ideas and I'd be developing them, so for when I did a record called Mobile Chateau, which was my third record. That's the first one that I self-produced.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of the songs that were on that, I'd had the ideas for a little while, but I just didn't have the right production techniques or different things that I needed to even like hear them back the way that I needed to perform them.
Yeah.
And so also spending a couple years or 2 records on the road, traveling and doing things, then you understand, just how stuff works in a live situation versus studio situation and all those things.
Does that matter to you especially with the new album, Santa Rosa Fangs, where it's like a concept album straight to finish, it's telling us narrative. So obviously there are things you're thinking about their studio application and then live application.
Yeah. Well, when I did this record, I worked it up with my friend Peter Matthew Bauer and Nick Stumpf, and I think the goal the whole time was to write songs that would just be deliverable really strong live, to where I could go out there with my band and just have them be really impactful. Even more so than other songs where you're missing the like 3 guitar parts that are like weaving together or something. Right. When you just have when you don't have all those things, and a lot of times that's fine, but when you have the idea, you want to deliver it in its entirety. So these ones, for the most part, there was, they worked in probably some of the best songs I think live, as far as really having a punch to them.
Yeah.
I feel that, at least when I play them on this tour, and that feels really good, because after doing so many records, to still feel that way, it's a great feeling.
Do you feel that you pull a little of the punch when you're recording it, so that when it comes out live, people are like, whoa, this is a whole other experience? Or do you try and pour as much into recording it as you do into the live show?
I think the recording stuff is more just like, it's different, because you can, it's really hard to capture the immensity of something on a recording, so you have to capture it. It's more of like, I think recordings a lot of times are, they're all like your perception of the way it's sonic perception of it, So if you just because you play in a room really big and really loud, you can mic it up doesn't mean it's going to sound really big and loud.
Sure.
So, I mean, sometimes you have to make things really small in order to, like, you know, a vocal or something, things like that, have it sit in the mix where everything else sounds huge, but it's just perspective of how the track sounds, you know, audio illusion sort of thing. And then performance is key, you know, as far as that as well. So I think you perform it good, but yeah, those studio things are a little different than just when you go live. When you go live, you just want to get in there and, like, you know, you can fill up a room with the sound, and you can't ever recreate that on a record, I don't think so. And also the actual physical vibrations that you're getting from it.
Oh,
in the
the
room
physical
too.
feeling of it.
Yeah.
I love that when you're in a room and you can feel the music, like, in your body.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Can we hear another song?
Sure, yeah.
What do you got for us?
This one is a song called Sharon, and I'll tell you a story about it. When I wrote this song years and years ago, before I'd written this song, I was sitting with a friend of mine, and she came over to my house. Her name's Liz. She's married to my drummer now, and at the time she had a shaved head, and I thought she was pretty cool. Yeah. And she was playing banjo, and I sat down. I had my guitar, and I was talking to her, and I said, I have this weird, like, tick that keeps going on, like, circling in my brain, sort of like Oliver Sacks sort of thing. And but I hadn't read any of that then, so I just thought I was going crazy. And it was sort of around. It was just when I stopped playing music, I stopped doing anything. Whatever happened, I had this, you know, hamster wheel of a sound that was going on in my mind. Around. And then years went by. Well, before that, she had told me, she's like, you should put it in a song. And I was like, well, around, it doesn't make sense, you know. I don't, like, around, I don't know. It took me a long time to try to make something work. And I sat down again years later, and it turned into, like, Duran, or something like that. I was like, this is dumb. Then I sat down to do this record. I'd written one song, I Remember It Well, was the first song. And then when I went down to write the second song, I started playing my guitar again. And I started going, Duran, but Sharon. And it turned into Sharon, and so Sharon revealed herself to me, and then I made her the centerpiece for the record. And so that's how that came about.
It's amazing.
That's one of those ones, like, you know, I was talking about earlier.
Yeah,
how
that you, like, you man up, you will yourself into the song that's in your...
A sound that for years and years was just, like, phonetically it sounded nice in my head, but I had no idea what it was, and then it turned into something years later.
Amazing. So that we're going to hear right now?
Yeah, this is Sharon.
All right, here we go.
She's going out tonight, see her aquarium friends, amongst the buffoons and the bogarts. She's strung out again. She knows not what she does. She knows not how she feels. She don't know if she's living or dying. Her pocket's full of pills. And she's colder than the coast of Maine. Sharon on a snowy winter's day. Sharon, she'll cut you like she cut me. Sharon, and send you raging on the sea. Sharon, 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 Sharon. You know I've seen you make arrangements with all the lawyers at the bar. I know you're going through those changes. Yeah, I know you're going through those changes. And I've seen you going through those changes. Gone, and still your daddy pays your rent. She knows now what she does. She knows not how she feels. She don't know if she's living or dying. Her pocket's full of pills. And she's colder than the coast of Maine. Sharon on a snowy winter's day. Sharon, she'll cut you like she cut me. Sharon, and send you raging on the sea. Sharon, 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 Sharon.
Awesome.
All right.
Good tune.
Thanks, man.
Good rhythm. So do you feel now that you've gotten that tune out of your head, does it feel better that you can share it with people instead of just having it go around in your brain?
Yeah. That's why it's called Sharon.
So Sharon is the central character in your new album.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a concept album. Beautiful story. How did it come about? What made you want to do like sort of a whole narrative throughout your whole album?
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of the stories come from my life or people who I know, and I've kind of tied them all together into sort of her and me sort of narrating it. And I imagined it like with this, with a, seeing the movie before I'd actually made the record or made the movie. And so as, I thought about kind of these songs sort of being the score for it. And I'd come off the heels of doing a soundtrack to a documentary called Orange Sunshine.
Yeah.
And so I was really, I was in the mode of working with visuals and creating things that were hand in hand. Together, they worked symbiotically. So I just I took that same concept and decided to make this record. And then as it's gone on, then the story is like revealed more, and I think eventually I'll turn it into, I'm working on writing a screenplay to it now, so kind of doing it reverse.
That's awesome. It sort of ties back to the skate videos and the music. And
it does, yeah.
Tying it all together, the songs and the video and things like that.
It does. I think that when I was a kid, I mean, I wouldn't make my own music for them when I started, but, I'd find my own records that I liked, and then I'd get the CD player, the cassette player, and then my VHS player, and I'd put the audio into it, and then I'd get another VHS player, and then dub it over and make my own skate videos. That's how you make your Sponsor Me videos.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, and so now you're just doing it in reverse.
I guess so, yeah.
And so with the new album, it's a very California album. Like,
yeah.
Do you feel that you've let your Californian pride and heritage really shine through on this? And do you feel that there's a unique story that you're telling about California that you have that maybe the world doesn't know? Because a lot of times when people think of California, they think of a very specific, maybe like a Hollywood story or a San Francisco story or hiking through the woods in the north. Are you telling a different type of California story?
Well, I mean, I'm just speaking from my own experience and people that I've known, but I think it's not. It is California because this is where I'm from and some of the cities that I name and things like that. But I also think that it can be, it's sort of that place and those memories can exist anywhere. It just mine just happens to be in California, and there's the cities that come of it. And I grew up here, so that's my story. But the funny thing is that the record before this record, I went to Scotland and I recorded over there, and I'd grown up listening to a lot of British folk music, and I'd listened to a lot of Britpop music, and so I had these ideas of going and recording up in Scotland and the Highlands or something, and recording these this music. I ended up being in Glasgow, and I'd recorded with some of the members of Belle and Sebastian, who I was a big fan of their music. Yeah, I love them too, and so it was by no means a traditional Scottish folk record. It was, and I'm happy for that, because that's not the kind of record I wanted to make. But I did slide a little bit of those influences in there, here and there. But when I was there, I was talking with Stevie Jackson, and he played guitar on it, and we became close friends. But he was more, into romanticizing the other side of the pond. He was just talking about Graceland and told me more about Elvis than I knew from being over here.
Right.
And then I was more into talking about going to the apartment where Sandy Denny lived and Incredible String Band and things like that.
Yeah.
And so, but for that reason, I do know a lot of sort of traditional Scottish songs. So I could play you one of those if you want.
I mean, if you want to end on that, we can.
I can, yeah.
I'll do that. Before we end on that, now that you have the album, now that you have this big story, do these characters continue beyond this album? Is it something that you've now brought these people to life through your music and, hopefully through screenplay, things like that? How do you live with these characters that you create? Do you feel responsible for them to see their lives through? Or is it just here's a moment in time where you you've opened a window into their world, and then you're moving on to look into something else.
Yeah, no, I think that they'll definitely stick around for a while. I mean, the thing is that, yeah, it's like I've opened the door to them, and now they're in the room. So, but the interesting thing was, about telling a California story, and within Sharon and within the whole thing, there's a lot of people that I know that are close, and myself as well, that are inside of these songs. But it took going across the sea to come home and really appreciate and write a California record. And so sometimes when I sit there in the hills, I still play my Scottish songs when the mist rolls in, just to mess with people.
Yeah, the Marine Layer is a good inspiration. Before we go, where can people find your music online? Where can people find you, keep up on your tour and your travels?
Yeah, they can just go to, I have Instagram, Matt Costa Music, and then they can go to my website, mattcosta.com.
Awesome.
And yeah, I think those are the main ones. I have Facebook and that kind of stuff too. So
whatever, yeah.
It all links together.
Yeah. Well, Matt, thank you so much.
Cool.
Congratulations on the tour, on the new album. Good luck on the screenplay.
Thank you.
And what are you gonna take us out with?
I'm gonna leave you with a California take on a bagpipe tune.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and thank you so much to Gingerbird Records Studios. We'll see you next time on Snacky Tunes. Matt, take it away.
Sweet. Yeah, this one's called Banish Misfortune.
We talk about food, we talk about music, with musical dudes, finger on the pulse, snacky tunes.
This program is powered by Simplecast.
Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. For our freshest content and to hear about exclusive events, subscribe to our newsletter. Enter your email at the bottom of our website, heritageradionetwork.org. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at heritage_radio. Heritage Radio Network is a nonprofit organization driving conversations to make the world a better, fairer, more delicious place. And we couldn't do it without support from listeners like you. Want to be a part of the food world's most innovative community? Rate the shows you like, tell your friends, and please join our community by becoming a member. Just click on the beating heart at the top right of our homepage. Thanks for listening.